Chapter 21, Security. Learning objectives. By the end of this chapter, you should be able to show understanding of the terms public key, private key, plain text, ciphertext, encryption, and asymmetric key, cryptography. So there are lot more to learn today. New terms and new functions regarding security. Encryption of data. Second one is show understanding of how the keys can be used to send a private message from the public to an individual or organization, or a verified message to the public. Show understanding of how a digital certificate is acquired and used to produce digital signatures. Show awareness of the purpose of secure socket layer SSL, transport layer security TLS, its use in client-server communication and situations where its use would be appropriate. Show understanding of malware, viruses, worms, phishing, and farming. These, of course, we have learned before also, but in a little deeper now. Describe vulnerabilities that the various types of malware can exploit. Describe methods that can be used to restrict the effect of malware. .01 Encryption fundamentals. Encryption can be used as a routine procedure when storing data within a computing system. However, the focus in this chapter is on the use of encryption when transmitting data over a network. So, encryption can be used as a routine procedure when storing data within a computing system. So, inside a computer, a local computer also, you can do it. In fact, it is done generally. But we are going to learn about the encryption when transmitting data over a network, data transmission. The use of encryption is illustrated in figure 21.01. The process starts with original data referred to as plain text. So here is the plain text. Whatever form it takes, this is encrypted by an encryption algorithm which makes use of a key. Yeah. Encryption, the algorithm is there using an algorithm or a program using a key. The product of the encryption is ciphertext. Here it is. Using a key, the encryption will turn plain text into ciphertext, which is transmitted to the recipient. When the transmission is received, it is decrypted using a decryption algorithm and a key to produce the original plain text. Okay. The original plain text. So this is, and these two are the same. For that, also using a key here, the decryption. It is decrypted using a decryption algorithm and a key. So same way. The reverse of what happened here. Okay. Why this is important in transmission is, here we said that you can do it in our own computer. Then someone will have to, the danger is some outsider will have to come and do something to your computer. But transmit, it's automatically we are sending it openly, where someone can someone can intercept and take it. That is why. So the key terms are plain text, data before encryption. Okay. Data before encryption is plain text. And the ciphertext is the result of applying an encryption algorithm to data. The ciphertext here, after doing this, that is the ciphertext. The result of applying an encryption algorithm to data. So remember the two definitions. The security concerns. There are a number of security concerns relating to a transmission. Confidentiality. Only the intended recipient should be able to decrypt the ciphertext. Obviously, otherwise it's not safe if someone else can decipher it or decrypt it. Authenticity. The receiver must be certain who sent the ciphertext. Integrity. The ciphertext must not be modified during transmission. So, even if it is not deliberate, accidentally, the integrity may be lost if the data is not accurate. Non-repudiation. Neither sender nor receiver should be able to deny involvement in the transmission. Repudiate is like denying. So here it should be, both should be the subject to non-repudiation. Then the availability. Nothing should happen to prevent the receiver from receiving the transmission. So if there is some problem, it is not receiving or something, then also it's not valid. This chapter will consider only confidentiality, authenticity, and integrity. The first three. Confidentiality, authenticity, and integrity. The confidentiality concern arises because a message could be intercepted during transmission and the contents read by an unauthorized person. The concern about integrity reflects the fact that the transmission might be interfered with deliberately, but also that there might be accidental corruption of the data during transmission. So when we were talking about this, the modification may be deliberate or accidental. And the encryption methods. The fundamental principle of encryption is that the encryption algorithm must not be a secret. It must be in the public domain. In contrast, public domain means it's available to the public. In contrast, an encryption key must be secret. So remember the two things. Encryption algorithm is not a secret, but the key is a secret. So you can use the same algorithm and create, encrypt data and create different keys. The keys are different and they are secret. Only the recipient must. However, this is not quite the full story. There are two alternative approaches. One is symmetric key encryption. The other is asymmetric key encryption. So in symmetric key encryption, there is just one key which is used to encrypt and then to decrypt. So both sides, it's the same. So symmetric. This key is a secret shared by the sender and the receiver of a message. In asymmetric key encryption, two different keys are used. One for encryption and a different one for decryption. Only one of these is a secret. So, bit difficult, but try to know the meaning and then remember. Just have a look at it and then see whether there's any question about this. Otherwise, we will not be able to remember it easily. Shaida, if you want, you can read it again and see. Or if there's no problem, we'll proceed.
I understood, sir. Mostly everything.
Yeah. When you read it over and over again, then
Yeah.
you get the picture clearer.
Mhm.
So let's
Yes, sir.
proceed.
Okay, sir.
So how does this work? What happens at the sending end is straightforward. The sender has a key which is used to encrypt some plain text, and the ciphertext produced is transmitted to the receiver. The question is, how does the receiver get to have the key needed for decryption? If symmetric key encryption is used, there needs to be a secure method for the sender and receiver to be provided with the secret key. There are two keys. One has to be sent to the receiver, and it's a secret. Using asymmetric key encryption, the process actually starts with the receiver. The receiver must be in possession of two keys. One is a public key which is not secret. The other is a private key which is secret and known only to the receiver. The receiver can send the public key to a sender who uses the public key for encryption and sends the ciphertext to the receiver. The receiver is the only person who can decrypt the message because the private and public keys are a matched pair. The public can be provided to any number of different people, allowing allowing the receiver to receive a private message from any of them. Note, however, that if two individuals require two-way communication, both communicators need a private key and must send the matching public key to the other person. Not so clear, no? When you read first time, not so
Yes, sir. It's a little confusing.
confusing, yeah, because it's not like a picture. That's right. When you put it
Yeah.
diagrammatic form, it's easy. But the thing is, you must do it, not I. If I put it into a diagram, I will remember. If you put it to a diagram, you will remember. But you can send it to me for correction.
Okay, sir. Okay.
We'll read it again and see. Using asymmetric key encryption, the process actually starts with the receiver. So it's a bit odd, no? The receiver starts the process. Here, the receiver must be in possession of two keys. So he or she has two keys. One is a public key which is not secret. The other is a private key which is a secret and known only to the receiver. So
Yeah.
not even the sender, only the receiver has this. Receiver has both. The receiver can send the public key to a sender who uses the public key for encryption and sends the ciphertext to the receiver. The receiver is the only person who can decrypt the message because the private and public keys are a matched pair. So if only person in the sense now is sending this to only this person, but this cyberspace, right, or the network and the internet, when you're sending data, it's all like a theater or the hackers and everyone performing. They are waiting
Yeah.
to catch these things and take. So even if they get when the sender is sending the thing, even if a hacker or interceptor gets it, can't do anything because the secret key, private key, is with the receiver only, the legitimate
Hmm?
receiver.
Yeah.
Public key can be provided to any number of different people. The public key can be provided to any number of different people. allowing the receiver to receive a private message from any of them. So I can, if I am the receiver, I have both keys. I can give the public key to any number of people. There's no problem.
Okay.
Note, yeah. Note, however, that if two individuals require two-way communication, both communicators need a private key and must send the matching public key to the other person. So in case the other person also wants something in return or something for the same document, then you have to give the key to that person. There are two requirements to ensure confidentiality should the transmission be intercepted and the message extracted. The encryption algorithm must be complex and the number of bits used to define the key must be large. There are two requirements to ensure confidentiality. Should the transmission be intercepted and the message extracted, because if something happens, like if somebody intercepts, the encryption algorithm must be complex. The number of bits used to define the key must be large. So this algorithm, the encryption algorithm, must be complex. There is, for example, I will take this example of a simple encryption. We have this alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, and my key is I add two letters to A and make it C, and this D, E, F, G, H. So this is my new alphabet, and I make a word, like if I want to make the word uh, bed, E, E, D. So take, let's see, created those three. But in my alphabet, it will be D, G, and F. So if somebody gets this DGF word, if this is just like this, he can try. That is why it says hackers are very quick and there is software for hacking. Can create.
Yeah.
So you can make a software to change, to include this algorithm also. What is the algorithm? My algorithm is letters to A and make it C, and two letters to Z. So just shift the alphabet to spaces. A program, a hacker can do that quickly, and then with one you won't get any word, or you might get any words, but it goes on doing many ways, and finally you might end up as bed, BED, and with the other words, like there are other words, no. With the other words, if it makes sense, then he will take that. So that is why even passwords guessing is like that. This one says that the algorithm to do that should be complex. And bits used to define the key must be large. So now we are getting a little bit closer to these keys and all that. So far it was a bit hazy. So the key, to create the key, you need some bits. How many bits are used to define the key must be large, right? Number of bits more means it's difficult, more difficult. Extension question 21.01. The details of encryption algorithms are beyond the scope of this book. So we are not going into the how the algorithm is made. However, you might wish to investigate the type of approach used in established examples such as DES, RSA. These are the methods used. Also, you might wish to consider the number of different combinations for a 64-bit or 128-bit key. So you have to do some research on this. The Google easy, you can get some information on this.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, the above account does not completely answer the question of how encryption works. The missing factor is an organization in an organ is the missing factor is an organization to provide keys and to ensure they are safe delivery to individuals using them. So the above account does not completely answer the question of how encryption works. The missing factor is, now here the problem is, somebody to provide keys and to ensure they are safe delivery to individuals using them. 21.02 digital. 1 minute. Digital signatures and digital certificates. Using asymmetric encryption, the decryption encryption works if the keys are used the other way around. An individual can encrypt a message with a private key and send this to many recipients who have the corresponding public key and can therefore decrypt the message. So the opposite also can happen. Earlier we learned that the public key is sent to another one to send something. But here this one is sending to others. And since the others have the public key, they can decrypt. This approach would not be used if the content of a message was confidential. However, it could be used if it was important to verify who the sender was. Only the sender has the private key, and the public keys only work with that one specific private key. So earlier the receiver had the private key. In this case, the sender has the private key, the other way around, but sending to many.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Therefore, used this way, the message has a digital signature identifying the sender. Therefore, used this way, the message has a digital signature identifying the sender. For identification purposes, a digital signature is there, some identification. There is a disadvantage in using this method of applying a digital signature in that it is associated with an encryption of the whole of a message. An alternative is to use a cryptographic one-way hash. One-way hash. Hash is like calculating something or making something. So you will learn it more. Hash function. One-way hash function which creates from the message a number uniquely defined for the particular message called a digest. The private key is used as a signature for the digest. This speeds up the process of confirming the sender's identity. The process at the sender's end of the transmission is outlined in figure 21.02. A public one-way hash function is used. So let's look at the diagram. The message is there. The cryptographic hash function is there to create a digest. Then using the sender's private key, encryption is done, and then producing a digital signature so that somebody else sending the same document or some imitating thing cannot create this digital signature because of all these things. Huh? Because, especially because of the sender's private key. We will assume that the message is transmitted as plain text together with the digital signature as a separate file. The processes that take place at the receiver end are outlined in figure 21.03. Checking, receive, transmission. The same public hash key function is used that was used by the sender. So the same digest is produced if the message has been transmitted without alteration. So if there's no alteration, then it will be the same because the digital, the message using this creates a digest. The digital signature and the sender's public key. This is at the other end, no? Sender's public key, decryption, and then the digest. Once it is received, you do this. And if there is no alteration and if it is resent, it will be the same. How will it change? Because if the message is changed here, then the whole thing changes.
Okay, sir.
Right? The decryption of
Yeah.
the digital signature produces an identical digest if the message was genuinely sent by the original owner of the public key that the receiver has used. This approach has allowed the receiver to be confident that the message is both authentic and unaltered. Yeah, what is the approach? The decryption of the digital signature produces an identical digest if the message was genuinely sent by the original owner of the public key that the receiver has used. This approach has allowed the receiver to be confident that the message is both authentic and unaltered. If it is unaltered also, it will not be the same digest, same signature. This sounds good, but unfortunately, it does not consider the fact that someone might forge a public key and pretend to be someone else. Therefore, there is a need for a more rigorous means of ensuring authentication. This can be provided by a certification authority, provided as part of a public key infrastructure, PKI, public key infrastructure. So that will a certification authority. If they provide authentication, like they can certify that this is okay, then that is also a precaution against these security issues. Let's consider a would-be receiver who has a public-private key pair. This individual wishes to be able to receive secure messages from other individuals. The public key must be made available in a way that ensures authentication. The steps taken by the would-be receiver to obtain a digital certificate to allow safe public key delivery are illustrated in figure 21.04. The process can be summarized as follows. An individual person A, this one, who is a would-be receiver and has a public-private key pair, contacts local certification authority, CA, contacts that person or the company. The CA confirms the identity of person A. So now they know each other, at least you have to register with them and your identification, everything, credentials provided. So now when they contact this one, the CA knows the identity. The CA confirms the identity of person A. Person A's public key is given to the CA. So person A has the public key and gives a public key to CA. The CA creates a public key certificate, a digital certificate, and writes person A's public key into this document. So that is given by this authority. The CA uses encryption with the CA's private key. So the CA has a private key and it does the encryption. CA uses encryption with the CA's private key. CA's private key to add a digital signature to this document. So digital certificate is issued like that. The digital certificate is given to person A. So now this certificate is given to person A. Person A posts the digital certificate on a website. So person A's digital certificate on a website. So that is the one that authenticates that person is A. Figure 21.04 has person A placing the digital certificate on that person's website, but another option is to post it on a website designed specifically for keeping digital certificate data. Alternatively, a digital certificate might be used solely for authenticating emails, as was suggested in chapter 8. So emails also can be used because that is also being transmitted. Right. Once a signed digital certificate has been posted on a website, any other person wishing to use person A's public key downloads the signed digital certificate from the website and uses the CA's public key to extract person A's public key from the digital certificate. Read that again. Once a signed digital certificate has been posted on a website, so like this person A's website, any other person wishing to use person A's public key, yes, public key is also no, downloads the signed digital certificate from the website and uses the CA's public key. CA's public key, the CA is this person A's public key. CA's private key. CA's public key. This is CA's public key to extract person A's public key. So to get person A's public key, this is extracted from the digital certificate. So the digital certificate contains this. For this overall process to work, there is a need for standards to be defined. As ever, the name for the standard X.509 is not very memorable. So the numbers, they are defined by numbers, but you can't remember that. It's not important to remember the number. Excuse me. Now 21.03 SSL and TLS. So 1 minute break.
Okay, sir.
Do you need a break?
Not really, sir.
Okay, we can carry on. Maybe after about 45 minutes or so, we'll have
Okay.
21.03 SSLs and TLS. I hope you have your abbreviations, either book or some pages separated, so that you can add these also abbreviations. SSL, Secure Socket Layer, and Transport Layer Security, TLS, are two closely related protocols providing security in using the internet. The TLS is a slightly modified version of SSL. We concentrate on SSL here, that is Secure Socket Layer. The main context for the use of SSL is a client-server application, a program, client-server program. As described in chapter 17, the interface between an application and TCP uses a port number. We did that earlier, a port number, particular port number, like a socket. As yeah, number. In the absence of a security protocol, TCP services and application using the port number. TCP is transmission control protocol. That also should be in your abbreviation list and memorized. An application using the port number. The combination of an IP address and a port number is called a socket. So, a socket is combination of IP address and a port number. When the secure socket layer protocol is implemented, it functions as an additional layer between TCP in the transport layer and the application layer, between the TCP and the application layer. When the SSL protocol is in place, the application protocol HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, the application protocol becomes HTTPS. So now you know this. Note that although SSL is referred to as a protocol, it is in fact a protocol suite. So when you look at many are now HTTPS secure, but still you get some sites only HTTP. So there you are not sure of the security of that website. Never give credit card information and all that if it doesn't have HTTPS and this padlock sign here. If it is HTTP only, it will say the padlock will show open and unsecure.
Okay, sir.
The starting point for SSL implementation is a connection between the client and the server being established by TCP, transmission control protocol. The handshake protocol from the SSP suite is used to create a session to allow the client and the server to communicate. Handshake protocol means like introducing, like when you introduce to someone, you handshake or shake hands rather. You shake hands when you are introduced to someone. Same way, here the two devices or the client and the server or whatever, they have a protocol, like how are we communicating? Do we talk at the same time or one has to wait till the other one talks? Like that, even now one example, known example is a printer, computer printer and the computer. So before printing something, there is a handshake. Before printing, the computer sends the data to the printer. Before sending the data, it checks whether the computer is on, power is on, and the data is connected, data cable is connected. Then only the handshake takes place. The protocol means checks whether it knows how to send the data, in which form to send the data to the printer to print, because each printer prints in a different way, or rather prints the same way but interprets the data in a different way. The manufacturers improve that every time. So there has to be a software to tell the CPU how this does, like the protocol. So that is called the device driver. You may have heard this term or come across, sometimes you get error messages. The device driver is out of date or something like that. So that is there introducing the printer to the computer. Same way here, the handshake protocol from the SSP suite is used to create a session to allow the client and the server to communicate. So the client and the server to communicate, there has to be some protocol. Protocol means rules of communication. Once the session has been established, the client and server can agree which encryption algorithms are to be used and can define the values for the session keys that are to be used. The interchange may involve checking digital certificates. See, how we learned about digital certificates. So that also must be done. Not like sending a printer some document, a document to the printer for printing, but here transmission is a public, the cyberspace. internet. There are a lot of dangers, pirates, and various. When you travel long distance, you get these dangers in real life. Same way, when you transmit data, also you have these dangers. For the transmission of for the transmission, SSL provides encryption, compression of the data, and integrity checking. When the transmission is complete, the session is closed and all records of the encryption disappear. That is how generally the transmission is done, and when you finish, all the encryption, everything is disappear. An application running HTTPS can guarantee secure communication, allowing users to send confidential information such as credit card details in an e-commerce transaction. The user is completely unaware of the processes involved in ensuring confidential transmission with data integrity assured. So, an application running HTTPS, this can guarantee, but not HTTP. You have to be careful when you are entering credit card data and all that, or use personal details, whether it is HTTPS. You have to check. Discussion point, Chapter 8. Discuss security and privacy issues. The use of encryption has always been a controversial subject. The use of encryption has always been a controversial subject. There are two important aspects to this. The first is whether powerful, unbreakable encryption algorithms should be made available to the public. So that is one question, one thing. Controversy is that one. Some people are saying should be, but some people are saying should not be. The second relates to the key escrow scheme, which allows governments access to all secret keys. You may wish to revisit your Chapter 8 discussion. So when you have free time, you can go back to Chapter 8 and recap, read it and see. Malware. Types of malware. Malware is the colloquial name for malicious software. What is the meaning of colloquial? Like the,
I'm not too sure.
yeah, the spoken, in the spoken language or slang or something. General, like colloquial. For malicious software. Malware, malicious software. You shorten this. Take the soft and from here, take only a mail, and here is where malware. Mal is bad, no? Malfunction is not functioning. Okay? So malnutritious. You get that word mal to show negative negative side of it. So mal is not good. Malicious software is software that is introduced into a system for a harmful purpose. One category of malware is where program code is introduced to a system. Code is introduced to a system. That's a small program is introduced to a system. The various types of malware containing program, code are the instructions are virus tries to replicate itself inside other executable code. Worm runs independently and propagates to other network hosts. Logic bomb lies dormant until some condition is met. That you can easily remember. No? Logic, you know, the logic is like if, then else, like that, a condition. No, that's a condition. So general conditions are like a date, a time, wait till 31st December 2020 and explode, not explode, like get into action, delete all the files or whatever. Or maybe some other condition also, maybe the second or if the user uses the computer for the 10th time in a particular day, or many conditions you can create. Then Trojan horse. This all are part of a previously useful program. So you go inside and then replaces or part of a previous. The whole program is replaced by this Trojan horse or part of it. Spyware collects information and transmits it to another system. Bot takes control of another computer and uses it to launch attacks, like robot. So if you many of these you can remember if you uh, take the general English term like spyware. You know the English meaning of spy, to find information about another person and sends back to another one. Like spies during the wartime, the German spies went to England or France to find information about
Yeah.
their activities and send back to Germany. So like that here, uh,
Yeah.
a famous one is the keylogger in the computers. When you type when you type the username or password using the keyboard, the spyware can collect that information and send it back. But if you use a virtual keyboard or a pull down menus from a or a virtual from without using the keyboard, using the mouse, if you enter the password, it can't. That's just an example I gave. But if you remember the word the Trojan, go inside and then you know unsuspecting, no logic bomb, logic if you
Yeah.
remember the meaning. So like that you can virus how it spreads, replicate itself inside other executable code, like how the corona and other viruses multiply or replicate. It's called replicating. No? You're doing biology, okay, so you know
Yes, sir.
the differences between the different types are not large, and what is always called an antivirus package will detect all of the different types. The virus category is often subdivided according to the software that the virus attaches itself to. Examples are boot sector viruses and macroviruses. What is boot sector virus? I'll explain. Now this says it is categorized according to its actions or where it gets attached. Now before going to that, I must tell you a virus is not shown like a file like this. They don't show. It gets attached to another file. That is the problem. That is why if you can identify, if it shows here, then you can look at it and then destroy it yourself. You need antivirus software because they don't show on these folders or directors or subfolder. They just get attached to another file. That's why even here tries to replicate itself inside other executable code. Always, generally always executable code so that when that program executes, then this can come into action. Here also it says the virus category is often subdivided according to the software that the virus attaches itself to. Okay? So examples are boot sector viruses and macroviruses. Boot sector viruses is boots in the hard disk. The hard disk you have the tracks and sectors. Right? You remember that? I'll get a yeah. These are tracks. The round the circles concentrate same center, they are there. They are tracks, and this one of these, this triangular thing is a sector. So this sector 1, sector 2. This is the boot sector. One of them, I mean, boot sector, where it's here boot records, master boot record and all that. The booting software, booting means the operating system. No? Operating system is there. So if a virus gets attached to that one, that will be the end of that hard disk. I mean, if it comes into action and destroys that, you can't start the computer. No physical damage to the hard disk, but logically or data wise, it's useless. You can't start. If the boot sector is bad and if you can't load the operating system to the memory or RAM, then the computer can't be used. However, you have other details like the the other programs are there intact, but they can't be used unless and until the RAM is loaded with the operating system. So that is why the boot sector. Examples are boot sector viruses and macro viruses. Macro viruses also, there's another kind. There can also be classified in terms of the activity involved. So now about the malware. The three things are like phishing, farming, and keylogger. Phishing is sending an email or electronic message from an apparently legitimate source requesting confidential information. Farming, setting up a bogus website which appears to be a legitimate site. Keylogger I'll come to later. First, these two, because students find it difficult to remember the difference between these two. And I will tell you how to remember it. This is not FISH, this is not FAR, though they sound like that. Let's take the F word for fishing. In fishing, you have the rod, the line, and then the bait, a small worm or some shrimp or some kind of bait, some food for the fish to come and eat without knowing that there is a hook, there is danger. When the fish eats that, the it gets hooked to the it gets caught to the hook. Then it is taken back. So just sending an email or electronic message, apparently legitimate source. That means like shows like from the commercial bank you are getting, or some bank or some other institution, school or something. It looks very legitimate, very authentic. Same logo and same kind of familiar headings and the colors. Everything looks very the same. So, like the fish seeing the worm and going to eat it without knowing that, you click any link in that, you are taken to another website. Or without going to another website, even it might ask, say, for example, it will say, your account is suspected or likely, or we think your account has been hacked. So please log in to correct the situation or change the password or something. So you click, and then it asks, the next one asks, what is your username? And you enter. Then your password for the bank. Then you enter that. This will be taken by them, your username and password, very easily. And you don't know. So you have to be careful. How do you, how are you, how can you be careful? Because when you click or you see there is some, supposing, can you see when I keep the mouse here, down below, you get the address here. Okay? If I go there, it's another address. If I go there, another one. That is one way. before clicking, you will know whether it's commercial bank or the school or whatever or something else. Then still if it is okay, it looks okay, then when you click, you have this. At this point, you can check whether what is it still the commercial bank site or something else. So that way you can be careful. That is phishing. So you remember that email is the bait. And farming, setting up a bogus website which appears to be a legitimate site. That is like farming is like cultivation. So set up say land or something, no? Setting up a bogus website which appears to be legitimate site. But how is it drawn up is like a software. Malware can also be classified in terms of the, so the malware, that is software uh, software involved in the software installed on your hard disk can do this. Just when you are browsing the internet, automatically without your knowledge, you will be taken to that website. That is the danger there. So remember, it's not an email which does the farming thing. Here is phishing is the email or any other electronic message. And the third one, keylogger, recording keyboard usage by the legitimate user of the system. So when you type the username and the password, you will the malware will collect that data and send back to the website. Here, username, then when it asks for the password, it gives here. Look at this. This is the virtual keyboard. Now I can type it here without using this. I can type, but if I type using the keyword, the keyboard, then the malware can collect it and send. But if I use this, if I click there, you will get the virtual keyboard. This is called the virtual keyboard or on-screen keyboard. Even on Windows, have you seen in the Windows, have an on-screen keyboard. When the keyboard is not working, even in our lab, we have done that. We go to the on-screen and then type the username and password when the keyboard is not working. So here,
Yeah.
I type my password, right? Whatever, let's say if it is RTY 456 7, then the characters come there, whatever the thing you type, and then say accept, and it has come here. So now the malware couldn't do anything because I didn't use the keyboard, I used the mouse. All right, so keylogger, recording keyboard usage by the legitimate user of the system. Then system vulnerabilities, all this coming under security. Many system vulnerabilities are associated directly with the activities of legitimate users of a system. Malware can be introduced inadvertently by the user in a number of ways. So the legitimate user, but can happen. These things can happen. Attaching a portable storage device. That is what? If you fix a USB pen drive, CD, DVD, Blu-ray, or external hard disk, which come under all these removable storage devices, which come under offline storage devices. Then opening an email attachment. See, email attachment can sometimes trigger out some of these things. For the farming, a program can be installed on the hard disk. Various things. Accessing a website. When you access websites, also sometimes a worm, a virus, malware can be installed. Downloading a file from the internet. When you download the file from the internet, especially if it is free, you have to be careful of free things. Accessing a website, there are, no, especially you get many attractive offers, free things. Do this and you get this free and various things. You have to be very careful about free things. And downloading a file from the internet also, without the legitimate user knowing, these things can happen. Alternatively, a legitimate user with a grievance might introduce malware deliberately. So deliberately also can do. Legitimate user with a grievance. So you're angry with someone. Then you can introduce malware deliberately. Other vulnerabilities are indirect. Now see, 1 second. These things are accidental. Legitimate user, while doing it, this happens. But here is a deliberate action. Other vulnerabilities are indirectly associated with the activities of legitimate users. By far, the most significant is the use of weak passwords, and particularly those which have a direct connection to the user. A poor choice of password gives a would-be hacker a strong chance of being able to gain unauthorized access. Other examples include a legitimate user not recognizing a phishing or pharming attack, and as a result, disclosing sensitive information. So the vulnerability is there. So without knowing, the user can disclose also. Systems inherently lack optimum security. Operating systems are notorious for lacking good security. There is a tendency for operating systems to increase in complexity, which tends to offer the potential for more security, insecurity. The regular updates are often required because of a newly discovered security vulnerability. In the past, commonly used application packages have allowed macroviruses to flourish, but this particular problem is largely under control. So, from time to time, even Windows, that's the operating system, they send you patches or enhancements that you have to update. From time to time, the updation should be there because they are for newly found security risks. How to overcome newly found security risks, because until that happens, you don't know. Just like the virus, until a new virus comes, you can't provide an antivirus for that. Only after it comes. So then you have to keep your antivirus software updated all the time. Otherwise, also it's a danger. This going back here, by far the most significant is the use of weak passwords, and particularly those which have a direct connection to the user. What does that mean? Like I'm using Carlo123 as a password, or some CAR, FER, or something to do with my own information, because that's how they guess first. Um, very specific. A very specific vulnerability is buffer overflow. Buffer overflow. Programs written in the C programming language, of which there are very many, do not automatically carry out array bound checks. Array bound checks means there's an array index. Um, if this is an array, the element 0, this is element 1, this is element 2, like that. But if you, now there are only three elements in this array, but I'm going to access the fourth element, then it should give an error. Should give an error called out of bounds, array out of bounds, index out of bounds, right? So the address range defined by the array implemented as a buffer. Programs written in the C programming language, of which there are very many, do not automatically carry out array bound checks. So you have to do manually. Otherwise, normally now in Python, Pascal, and various languages, the checking of the index is automatic. If you try to to try to access something out of range, it says out of bound, array out of bounds, or in array index out of bounds. But this one says programs written in the C programming language. C programming language, if you have used for program, it doesn't do automatically. So you have to check. The programmer has to write. A program can be written to deliberately write code to the part of memory that is outside the address range defined for the array implemented as a buffer. This will override. Buffer is like the memory, part of the memory, like a temporary storage area. This will override what is stored there. So when a subsequent program reads this overwritten section, it will not execute as it should. This might just cause minor disruption, but if cleverly engineered, it could lead to an attacker gaining unauthorized access to the system and causing serious problems. So that weakness in that part, an attacker could make use of it to make it right on the memory in that buffer, not as a program error, but deliberately putting some code there. Chapter 8 has a discussion of the standard security measures for computer systems such as firewalls and antivirus software. So then we have the summary. It's a short chapter. We have finished, and only 4 sections there. We'll just see the summary. Alternatives for encryption are symmetric, using one key, or asymmetric, using 2 different keys. So symmetric, you can understand, the meaning of symmetric. No? So if you have like A, B, even though it is not equal, but it's symmetric. But if you have, it's equal. It has to be equal. But if it has different one, the face, the features of the face and all that, like that you can understand. One key means, symmetric is using one key. Both sides is one key, equal. Then asymmetric is used different keys. Like left eye is small, the right eye is big, then the face is not symmetric. Encryption converts plain text to ciphertext. Decryption reverses the process. Encryption converts plain text to ciphertext, and decryption reverses the process. So encryption and decryption. The 5 main security concerns when transmitting messages are confidentiality, authenticity, integrity, non-repudiation, and availability. We did only the first 3, confidentiality, authenticity, and integrity.
Yeah.
Authentication can be achieved using a digital signature and a digital certificate. There are certification authorities, CA, and using the digital signature and a digital certificate. So when the digital certificate is there and it's matching, you know that it's a authentic sender, or the author is okay. A digital certificate is provided by a certification authority within a public key infrastructure. Secure socket layer, or SSL, and transport layer security, TLS, protocols provide security for transmission using the internet. The following are, so what is the main, you can think it this way. These two, SSL and TLS, are mainly concerned about the, the data being transmitted, how to make it secure. So encryption and all that, using encryption. The following are types of malware: virus, worm, logic bomb, Trojan horse, spyware, and bot. So malware means not good, not good software, all bad. Virus, worm, logic bomb. We went through those. Malicious activities include farming, phishing, keylogging, and hacking. When you read these things, the meaning should come to your mind. Like farming is some code on your computer, not an email, and directing you to another website, getting the information, personal information. Phishing is by sending an email, like the bait in phishing, and then getting you to click and then sign in, log in, and give the username and password. They will collect it. Key logging also, when you type your username and password on a legitimate, normal, like even the bank account, bank website, you type, or anything, school or any other website, email, the key logging software can take it, detect it, and then send it. And hacking is getting into a site illegally. Maybe the password is guessed, or technically just getting through it. Usual normal way is like getting the password. Like that, I told you about this bed. Say BED is a password. Imagine that BED is a password, but it is saved like this. Hmm? Then there is a like a way of decrypting, no? Guessing. Hacking is like guessing, mainly guessing, and then you are using software for that. So you try all the things and then finally get the password. You can easily do it. Now, for example, your I get to know your username. I don't have to know that it's you. I can even guess some username and then keep on typing various passwords. Then finally, I'll get the password. Someday I will get the password. If I do methodically, starting with A, then with one character, then starting with A, starting with B, and going on like that. Then for two character words, starting with A, then the next letter changing. Like that you do. But then manually, if you go to do, it will take years. But there are software programs to do that. The malware can inadvertently, that is by mistake, enter a system through a user attaching a portable storage device. So that means if you insert a CD drive, CD or DVD or a pen drive or a memory card, if the malware is in that, already in that device, storage device, when you attach it to the computer and transfer data, that can get installed on your computer also. Opening an email attachment also, that can happen because attachment can be a program. Accessing a website also it can happen, or downloading a file from the internet. Those are the ways of getting malware into your computer. And here are the exam style questions. I'm telling you over and over again, you have to do these things. Otherwise, at the exam, you will not be capable of answering. Right now also, when you see, when transmitting data across a network, three concerns relate to confidentiality, authenticity, and integrity. Explain each of these terms. So these are of course easy. This is of course easy. It's directly theory. can look at the book and learn it. But there are some questions when you see, it looks like, oh, we have not learned this. But when you go to write, you will get the ideas. And if you can't write, look at the book. Look at the book and try to read and over again, over and over again. Find the answer yourself. That only will help you at the final exam. So remember to do these things. And next time it will be chapter 22. Tomorrow. Chapter 22. Right. And attendance. Okay. So are there any questions?
No, sir.
There are no questions, then we can stop now.
Okay, sir.
Okay then. So thank you very much for joining. Your
Thank you, sir.
URL Zoom will be on the website, right? So try to log into the website, and
Okay.
if you have a problem, let me know. It's a new URL. I think did I give you? If I didn't give, ask me for it. It's not the old.
Okay.
It's a new site, and there you will get the Zoom link. Hereafter, I will not inform about the Zoom link. It will be on the website like those days. Huh? Okay.
Okay, sir.
See you then. Thank you very much for joining.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You're welcome. God bless.